Good morning. This is the February 20th opening of the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Convention meeting for Thursday, February 20th. Would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Chowry,
Here.
Commissioner Curran,
Here.
Commissioner Floyd,
Here.
Commissioner Glenn,
Here.
Commissioner Japon Porter,
Here.
Commissioner Hayes,
Here.
Commissioner Miletus,
Here.
Commissioner Warren,
Here.
Chair Doherty.
Here. I would entertain a motion to or any discussion on the January 16th commission meeting minutes. Any discussion? Okay, I would certainly entertain a motion for approval of those minutes. All right.
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I move to approve the January 15th, 2025 commission meeting minute as written.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Commissioner Chowry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. So next we have Christy Scott. Got to talk about our distilled spirit supply chain. Are you going to want to come up here? I want to, before we get started, Christy, I just want to say that I'm so glad that you're where you're at. I want to congratulate you on accepting the role of our Chief Information Officer. That's well deserved. Before I came here, I heard about you. I had people telling me how awesome you are. And then when I've been here and met you, it's just been a pleasure. And particularly going through what we've gone through, to have people of your quality not only stay on, but you've made this place someplace that people want to help make this place someplace where people want to come work. And after our dumpster fire, some people called it, it was very difficult to attract and keep people. And you were one of the people who not only stayed on, but inspired others to stay on. And I want to thank you for that, for what you've done for this agency and for Oregonians. It's a great deal. And this is a tough time with all this IT that is way over my head, but I'm so glad that you're there to help us with it. So please, thank you for being here. And
Thank you,
Sure.
Commissioner Doherty. For the record, I'm Christy Scott, Chief Information Officer, and also the one up here blushing in front of all of you. Thank you for inviting me to come talk about the distilled spirit supply chain this morning. It is something that we started. We kicked off this project August 2nd, 2018. So this is a very long time in the making, and many, many hands have been involved in building this project up to where we are right now. So while I am very thankful to be the one to present in front of you, this is certainly, like I said, many hands have been involved in this. This is a technology solution that spans the entire supply chain. So from the time we bring in distilled spirits, we receive them in the warehouse from our suppliers and our vendors, all the way through till when the customer buys the product at the liquor store. And some of the things that includes is the warehouse management system. This is where we track where all of the spirits are going inside the warehouse. And the enterprise resource planning, what we call an ERP. This is most of our back of the house operations. So all of our financial services, how we pay liquor agents, how we pay for the products that we purchase. And then really just our day-to-day business activities are going to be through this new ERP system. And then a point of sale system. So that's what you think of as the register at the liquor store. And currently, our liquor stores have a disparate selection of point of sale services that they've independently purchased at their liquor stores. What we're going to do with this project is create an enterprise-wide point of sale system that when you're buying distilled spirits at any liquor store in Oregon, it's going to go through the same register. And that way we'll be getting that data back in real time. And it's going to not only help our agents be able to serve their customers, but it's also going to be able to help our staff more efficiently and more effectively pay for liquor agents comp, pay for the product that we purchase from vendors and suppliers. And so if we could move to the next slide, Laura. So starting with the distribution services and the warehouse management service or warehouse management system. This is going to address distribution order fulfillment, live tracking of the spirits inventory, not only in the warehouse, but also where it is in the liquor stores. So think of the liquor stores as little satellite warehouses. This will also know where that product is. An online portal for spirits vendors, so they know how much product they have in our warehouse, how much product they have in our liquor stores. So when they come for bailment and they want to replenish their stock, they know how much we already have, how much we're selling. They'll also be able to submit for new products or remove products that they're no longer offering. Freight carrier management is going to be a huge improvement for our staff because right now we don't have a really great efficient way. If there's a snow event or if one truck is late, then it tends to back up the other orders after that. Having all of this combined integrated system is going to help us manage those freight carriers and not only manage how we also pay them because they're contracted, but also manage how we make appointments for them to come in. And then retail store services. This is probably the part that I'm most excited about. Our liquor store agents are going to have a portal and a dashboard that is, again, integrated into the system. They can see what products we offer, what products we have on hand, and how much of it we have on hand. There's not going to be a delay because all of the data is going to be in real time. So if they're going to be able to place orders to OLCC, they're going to be able to report daily liquor sales online and in real time. So it's not going to be every day at the end of the day, and we're not going to know until the end of the month what the actual real numbers are. This is going to be in real time. We're going to have actual correct data. And then claims, transfers, and returns right now, which is a very manual process. So not only is this going to help the liquor store agents, but our financial services staff who do a lot of that claims and transfers work, it's going to make it a lot easier for them to manage that workload. And then just curious, how many of you have been on OregonLiquorSearch.com? So it's not the prettiest thing that you've seen. You know, back in 2019 when we rolled it out, it was great. But we're going to have a new public-facing customer shopping portal. And with that, we're also going to be able to order online and pick up in store. And then also for the restaurants and bars, the licensees who purchase from our liquor stores, they're also going to have a portal so they can order online from our liquor stores.
Wow.
And this is certainly not a detailed accounting. I do not claim to be an accountant by any means. That is for Colin. But I just want to point out that this is a serious investment that the state is making into our operations. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the governor's office and the support that she's providing to us in the governor's recommended budget to fund this project specifically. We have been offered a great opportunity because this is a Microsoft product that we're implementing, and Microsoft has offered us a $400,000 incentive. Think about it like if you buy a car from Honda and the dealership gets a $400 incentive and then they pass it along to you. This is kind of the same thing. Microsoft is offering us a $400,000 incentive, and we implemented an initial contract back in January on the 27th so that we could get that work started, so that we could achieve that $400,000 incentive in time for March 31st when it expires. But in the meantime, we're finishing our contract work and we're targeting early March. I mean, it could potentially be ready tomorrow, but we'll see. But targeting early March for our full contract execution. And on March 3rd, we have a technical project kickoff meeting. So that's going to be more the day-to-day project folks working on it. But we're also working with staff to have a more celebratory project kickoff meeting where we'll certainly invite the warehouse staff, commissioners, liquor store agents, suppliers, and something much more grand so that we can celebrate this great achievement with everybody who's going to be involved. And for resources, this is something, we're talking about human resources at this point. And as we look at the project, you can probably imagine that a lot of the folks who are going to be involved are from financial services, retail services, and our distribution staff. We've been working with our vendor to create, I'm calling this a heat map of when we think we'll need staff and what time based on our current schedule. And so this is what we're looking at and working with the division directors to create capacity for their staff so that they're available to attend these meetings and keep our projects on time. And so now I have a couple of different schedules to share with you. This one is still, we've actually changed this a couple of times since I submitted this to Laura. But a couple of things I want to point out to you on this is we're targeting the go live March 2nd, 2026. It's that purple star. And we're targeting that as our go live for the warehouse management and the enterprise resource planning system. So that's when we're going to go live in this current warehouse with those systems. And then beginning in March through August of 2026, we're going to have a phased rollout for our liquor stores. The vendor has staff that they're bringing on that are going to be doing training and really like a lot of hands-on learning for the liquor store agents so that we make sure that they're really comfortable with all of the new technology that we're implementing. And then also you'll see there's the new Canby warehouse. So with the current schedule that we have, we're planning then to move from this warehouse to the new Canby warehouse, all within 2026.
Christy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, it looks like we're gonna need to staff up to get all of this done. And is that temporary staff? So when it's done, then, I mean, how do we do that?
So with Tara's leadership, that's something that we're talking about in our Build, Move, Modernize, Enroll committee meetings right
Okay.
now, is identifying the red areas
Right,
and talking to the division directors. Well, what is it that you need? Do you have other staff who could step in and help out? You know, in some areas, we may have more bench strength. For example, retail services, we have several district managers. In auditing, we have several auditors. In accounting, for example, there may be more people who do a specific accounting function. But in all of that planning, it really is looking at the map, looking at the resources that are going to be needed and really trying to think outside of the box of how we can build that capacity for them.
okay, because I know everybody is at full capacity right now, even without this, and I so appreciate what you're doing, and I did talk to Tara about that, about ramping up and how we're gonna go and do that, so anyway, thanks. Go ahead, please continue.
Sure. This slide is just another view of the project timelines, but I wanted to make sure that you guys could see how this stacks up in relation to our other projects. So camp is at the bottom. That's the one that we're finishing up right now. Above this one is the warehouse construction project. So you can see how we're going to line up with the Canby warehouse and making sure that we integrate with that. And then I also did include our legislative sessions because I just think that's important to think of, to keep in mind perspective for how we get our funding and how our budget cycles work. This next slide is just a very high level view of some of the issues and risks that we're tracking to help make sure this project is successful. So these are things that we're talking about internally as a team and making sure that we can create mitigation plans to address all of these so that they really don't become full-blown issues, that we can address them more as risks. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Prisoners?
Chair,
Sure.
so so my understanding, this is gonna be a kind of a centralized place now that everybody's gonna be using the same program. All restaurants and bars are gonna be able to use the same program. Is that I understand?
Commissioner Curran, Chair Doherty. Yes, so the restaurants and bars will have the ability to log in to a system. And I don't know all the details yet because we don't have the contract fully executed. But that is the goal. That's the vision, is to have a place where they can log in and order their distilled spirits from whichever liquor store they want to and pay for it also with an ACH transfer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was my question is, some of the stores I know have their own, and you were talking about that, have their own systems where, they've upped their game and they said, well, we offer online, ordering on some of the stores offer that. So are they going to then be using the system from now on, or I don't know, I guess maybe it's not a very well, are they gonna be mandated, or is the idea hopefully going to be that they just switch over and we kind of use one system? Or what's the vision there?
So excellent question. The agency's instruction is that for distilled spirit sales, they'll use the point of sale system that we provide. If they sell other items, tobacco, t-shirts, bubblegum, chips, whatever they sell, they have the option to use our point of sale system that we're providing to them, or they can maintain their current point of sale system if they want to.
Okay.
Oh,
So they're not mandated to use our point of sale system for their other items, but that's an option to them if they want to.
Well, that'll be great.
yeah.
They can do both.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions?
That's super exciting.
Hmm.
Having had a restaurant moons 100 years ago, that would have been so fantastic to have it like Fred Meyer's one-stop shop. So that's super exciting.
Well,
Great work.
Commissioner Warren, we may tap you to join some of our meetings.
You just volunteered.
I love that we can order, liquor now, or well, we will be able to and direct it to the store of our choosing.
Yeah.
Wherever we can.
Yeah.
That'll be great for the consumer too.
Convenient.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Is that it? Right?
That's it.
Christy, thank you so much. So
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, are you up? Is that next? Yeah. Craig, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
Chat with us a little bit about our
Yeah.
formula.
Yeah, thank you. I think Laura's going to get an overview of how we set alcohol pricing. And I wanted to do this. Actually, it's great to do after Christy's presentation because I think it fits really well with when Christy was talking about the funding for the distilled spirits supply chain. But just to give everybody an overview, so we all are in charge of how alcohol is bought and sold in Oregon, as you know. And the context for this overview is just we do have a vote coming up in April of this year on whether to continue the 50-cent surcharge. And I wanted to do my best as your staff and with, to answer the questions and give context around that vote. And so that's really what I'm seeking to do here. And so let me go to the next slide. And then if you have questions, Dennis and Laura, if you can help me field questions from the commission. I can't see them quite as easy. So the way alcohol is regulated is by a statutory definition. And then that statutory definition of, what are the ingredients? Are they distilled or fermented? What's the alcohol by volume, which is what's the percentage of alcohol and what's in it? Those definitions drive how it is taxed or priced. And what I'm saying, I'll say it another way. When you have something that we all know as beer, well, we have to have a statutory definition of that. So, because believe it or not, it actually gets complicated. What is this product? It's called a Smirnoff product, but it's actually based on a malt liquor, malt beverage of blank percentage. Those kind of questions about the ingredients go into how it's regulated. And the Liquor Control Act from 1933 separates one of the main distinctions. Did I lose you?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay, sorry about that. Where did I cut out?
One of the main distinctions.
Yeah, so the main distinction of the Control Act, the way we do it is we separate access to liquor from access to beer, wine, and cider. And so malt beverage is what we all know as beer.
I lost you again.
Am I coming through
Yeah.
okay? Okay,
There
let me
you are.
wait. Okay. Malt beverage is defined by its ingredients and its ABV, alcohol by volume, and you get a tax rate. That tax rate is set by statute. It's set by the legislature, and it can only be changed by the legislature. The same for wine. Wine is set by how its ingredients are fermented, and it's got fruit juices, and then the tax rate is set by the legislature. And you can see wine has two different tax rates. One for if it's table wine at 67 cents per gallon, and then 77 cents per gallon if it has an higher ABV, which would be a dessert wine. Cider, same. Cider, incidentally, if you look to the right on the tax rate, cider is taxed just like beer if it's up to 8.5%. And then it's taxed just like wine if it's over 8.5%. And then last but not least is distilled liquor. And distilled liquor is really a catch-all ingredient, and it's a catch-all category legislatively. And you can see that where it says any alcohol beverage other than wine, beer, or malt beverage, including distilled spirits. And then it's not taxed. You all set the retail price. And that's a price markup that I'm going to go into next, as long as my feed works here. Am I doing it okay?
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Chair. So how the price is set is what the OLCC sets is the retail price. So the supplier, be it Sazerac or be it Brown-Forman, one of our big suppliers or one of our small Oregon distilleries, they will set a wholesale price. And that is that invoice price that's on this table per case. And you could see we have two formulas based upon the cost, the wholesale cost of the case. If it's $78.06 or less, we use this formula that I'm going to walk through. If it's over that, we'll use the formula I'm going to show you on the next slide. That split was set, I think, decades ago. I've talked to a lot of the staff. It's not real clear when that was set and for what purposes, but that is the way our formula is set up now. So you take that invoice cost of a case of distilled liquor, and if it's $78.06 or less, it's marked up 2.131. And also a freight charge of $1.40 is added per case. And you get a case price for how much it would be. You divide that by the number of bottles in the case, which is 12 bottles, and you get a $13.44 price. You take that, and we always round it to the nearest nickel, round it up to the nearest nickel, and then you add the surcharge. And the surcharge is added on top, and that gets you the retail price. If you had to special order it, you have an additional special order and handling fee. And you can see if it was special ordered, you'd have a $14.95 retail price. So that is, when we talk about the markup formula or the price formula, this is the formula we're talking about. And go to the next slide. If you had a case price at wholesale of over $78.06 per case, you can see the markup is lower. It's 1.798. And other than that, the same process applies, where you add the freight charge, you then divide by the number of bottles, you round it to the nearest nickel, you add the 50-cent surcharge. And then if it's a special order, there's an additional cost. This has not been looked at and updated, as far as I can tell, for decades. But what I wanted to give you is the context of the vote you'll be taking and how it fits into this. So, slide. So, what does all that mean? Well, it means that we set that price, and that generates a significant amount of sales. We talked, I think Alan was in last week and talked about our number of cases, just under 4 million a year. And so you can see on this slide, the bulk of the money that's available for distribution is from the liquor. You can see the purple spot is the liquor sales that work under that price formula. And then for privilege tax, the blue slice, that is the beer and wine and cider. And those are set by those tax rates that I mentioned on that slide that are set by the legislature. You've got liquor license fees from our partners, and then you have marijuana license fees. These are really what we use to then set the OLCC budget and then to distribute out to the general fund cities and counties. You'll see that there aren't marijuana revenue receipts because the Department of Revenue actually collects that tax. So that is not what's shown here is not sales, but what's shown is the license fees themselves. I want to highlight on the next slide what then happens and how that's distributed. I'm going to start with the small yellow slice that says 18.7 million. The beer and wine tax has a specific restricted purpose for 50% of it. 50% of it shall go to the Oregon Health Authority, which is a sister agency, and it shall be distributed for mental health, alcoholism, and drug services. Next to it, there's a slice that you can't even hardly see of 745,000, and that also is for a restricted purpose. That goes to the Oregon Wine Board. We've heard from the Oregon Wine Board. Their purpose is to identify and cultivate the market for Oregon wines. Those two little slices are restricted. Okay, what I mean is they must be for a specific purpose. But when you look at the large green part of the pie, the large orange part of the pie, and the large purple part of the pie, these are unrestricted general fund or unrestricted revenues. What that means is if you take the green slice, the Oregon legislature, which is in session now, and Rosie will give you an update on what they're working on, $282 million dollars is derived from that liquor revenue and is made available to the legislature. If you look at it, that goes into all of the things that the legislature is funding. And we know Governor Kotek is focused on prioritizing homelessness, behavioral health services, and education. But the general fund takes care of really everything. So in one sense, we are the money that is brought in by the OLCC goes to all of those things. And this comes up a lot because most of the focus is on the restricted revenue that the Oregon Health Authority has available for health, alcoholism, drug services. The cities take the second largest cut. There's two different, Colin's got this, he's showing it two different ways because the statute has it based upon population. And there's kind of two different criteria for how the cities get their shares, but you can see that's 172 million. And we are the second largest source of revenue for the cities. And then last but not least are the counties in that dark orange, and they get 50 million. And as Commissioner Hayes would tell you, the counties run much of the behavioral health services, the prevention services, and the jails. And those are kind of the areas that counties, by and large, use the revenue for. I want to highlight that the 50-cent surcharge goes into that green slice. And the surcharge is truly a surcharge in that it's 50 cents per bottle sold. So it does not go through a distribution formula. And it doesn't go through a cost, us paying for the cost that I'll show you in a second. It's a true surcharge per bottle. A lot about sales. We talked about, I think, again, last month, this month. And that 282 million, Colin is working with Peter Nordyke and the Office of Economic and Analysis, and they're revising that forecast closer to 275. And so the surcharge from our bottle sales would increase that green slice by about $38 million. So right now, this is the current projection of 282.2. We think that's going to come down to about 275, and then the surcharge would increase that by 38 million. I asked Colin to do my math for me because if I do math, it makes everyone nervous, including me. And so the surcharge, if you vote it and continue this, the current surcharge would be about a 13.8% increase in that green slice. Slide. Wow, tongue-tied already. This is, as Christy said, we're thankful for the governor's budget that she's set for us. We're an other funds agency, and so in our case, what our budget basically means is we're asking permission to spend money on our agency before it gets distributed. I want to highlight a couple areas. We're unique in that you can see the largest part of the pie is the 43% that goes to the agents for their compensation. And as you know, we have agents that are large in the metro area. They might sell $15 million worth of liquor in a year. And then you've got really small agents that just sell a small fraction of that. And there's a formula of how they are compensated. They have a base rate and a compensation rate. Basically, to make it simple, they get about 8% of the price for sales, and then they have a base rate. We're unique in that that's the biggest part of our budget, and we have to have permission to spend money on that, and that has been the area that has been changing because the amount of liquor that the agents are selling is not what was projected back in 2022 when we started to make our projections. The area I've highlighted
We lost you, Craig.
Did here for the lecture last this month. Admin for a bit, but Chair Doherty, it's exactly that area that you were concerned about, which is this is where our IT services, our financial services, and Jeff Samuel's team and administrative services, who are going to be doing all of this work with the distilled spirits supply chain and doing the move and making sure we're successful in that. That all is encompassed in that orange slice, administrative and agency support. And then the area that we're going to be also monitoring closely is the green slice for debt service, because we know we're having to bond the purchase of the new warehouse. Lisa's going to give you an update on that. We're bonding a large part of the distilled spirits supply chain because a lot of it's IT hardware and then it's maintenance costs. So all of that revenue that from our sales that then comes into funding our agency and then distributing funds to the general fund, the cities and the counties. Slide. That's really the overview I wanted to give you so you understand the context of the vote you'll be taking in April. I'm available for questions. Thank you for letting me do this remotely, and I'm sorry, Chair, that we had that glitch.
It's okay. Where are you, Craig?
I am in Louisiana checking on Natalie's folks who are getting we just want to check on them periodically, making sure they're doing good, and I'm pleased to say they're getting around pretty dang well for folks in their 80s.
Oh, good. Careful about those folks in their 80s. I'm getting close. I'm walking around, but any snow down there?
No, but it is very cold. It's surprisingly cold here in Cajun country.
Oh my gosh. Commissioners, questions? Any questions on this?
Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Curran?
I just had a few questions for context, especially because I know a lot of the commissioners are new, but I just want to, some of the history of this. This was initially intended to be a kind of an emergency surcharge that was added because of a budget shortfall and was intended to sunset. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding from what I've gleaned, and you have more background than I do with this, but my understanding is the uncertainty at the time this was implemented was the mortgage crisis in the 2008-2009 time frame, and that's when this was begun. And it's been done so that it's temporary in that it has to be voted on to continue it for every 2 years. And so the next vote, if you all decided to say yes, we want to keep the status quo, it would extend it till June 30th, 2027, even though it would end June 30th, 2025 here this summer.
So we did price markups and we did the floor pricing, which increased prices of liquor, which was intended at that time, as our understanding on the commission, as a way to increase revenue. And then we would be able to get rid of the 50-cent surcharge. Do you have any information as to if there's any end in sight on sunsetting this provision?
I'll let the chair, I'll defer to that because I think this is a policy decision for y'all. But what I know is that right now, with everything we're working on with the distilled spirits supply chain and with getting Lisa on board, right now we've just been working with what we have here and have reported it out to the legislature. But I'll defer to the chair on kind of future plans.
Thanks, Craig. We've been looking at this for some time, and although we want to honor the original idea of having a temporary I think that we want to find other ways. If we do, we're gonna put that out. We find other ways to replace that funding. And if you noticed in the presentations here, it's been a long time since we reviewed any of the income sources that we have for transportation and things like that it's been decades, I think. So we're gonna have an outside firm come in and do a kind of a forensic review and see what we can do so we don't do too much damage, but still honor our commitment, that this commission's commitment, even though we weren't there, to have that as a temporary surcharge.
Have they, my concern too is that this is a surcharge or a tax, we can call it that, a tax, that only 9 people in our state who are not been elected are putting on the state. When it was initially done as an emergency during a recession period time. And now we don't have that budget shortfall. So it's right now it's just extra money, and I'm concerned that this really does hit the small businesses. You know, when I talk to these, especially these distilleries who say, and I have to write an extra check to the OLCC, and they feel targeted because we did floor pricing with the intent. We were told this is going to bring more revenue in. And so it's frustrating from my perspective, sitting on this for the years I've sat on, that we've done what we've needed to do. We've voted on these things to bring in the extra money. And then we're not getting any reward for that to try and reduce it to 25 cents. I mean, is that a possibility? That would certainly be a compromise in this situation. And given the fact that distillery, a liquor itself is pulling more than the fair share of its weight when you look at beer and other things. We're being taxed in all the and when you consider. And why isn't this a surcharge that the legislature, our elected officials, are not handling?
Is that Craig?
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer, for those questions. I can answer that last one first. It's been contemplated since 1933 that this agency is the agency that's to set liquor prices. That's always been the case, and you can see, you know, the book I read about the whys and hows of that is toward liquor control. And that is so that we can move the price based upon consumption. We can move it around much easier and much deftly than just a vote. So that was a purposeful part of creating the OLCC, is that we're in charge of pricing. And then as far as the markup, you know, I think, as I showed, our liquor sales are declining. They've declined, you know, and we're going to be updating our revenue forecast for 25, 27. I don't know if that was contemplated by the commission when you all put this in, but it's certainly the case. So our revenues are declining, that we make available to the cities, counties, and the general fund. And then Rosie can give you the update for the legislature about what we're focused on. But I think what the legislature is focused on right now down in Salem is just uncertainty about federal funds that'll be available, and also how tariffs will impact our overall budget. So Jennifer, you're right. It's a different. It was about the mortgage crisis in 2008 and 2009, but I can tell you that from the conversations, you know, that I've heard down in Salem, there is a lot of uncertainty, and they certainly don't look at this as extra money. They are very tuned in and would have a surcharge, you know, available to them for what they're facing today. So that's just, I'm just giving to the commission kind of what I'm hearing down in Salem.
Thank you. I guess one final comment then is, it would mean a lot to me as a commissioner if you could at least look into 25 cents or reducing that by a little bit, or coming forward and saying, this is the last time, we are gonna take steps to sunset it or find a way to do something like that. Because it does feel a little bit indefinite in the way that it's going right now.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you for those comments. Chair, I'll hand it back to you and just wanted to say thanks again for chance to go over this with y'all.
And thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah, I appreciate you considering my comments and.
Oh,
mostly-
yeah, and Jennifer, I wanted to say too, the floor pricing part intrigues me because I can follow that up and we can talk about it. The floor pricing, my understanding of the floor pricing, again, I wasn't here. I think it's a great policy that y'all passed. And my understanding that the most salient reason for that was to set a base, a base so that price couldn't go below a certain amount. And I will research that to see, if that has increased revenue and that type of thing. I will enjoy doing that research. And I see Arno's in the room, and we can look at that because I didn't realize that was one of the main purposes for that. I thought it was more just, again, to address excessive consumption by not having really cheap liquor available. So I'd be happy to look into that and the other comments.
Commissioner?
Yeah, Chair, I just, Craig, at some point, I'd love kind of a briefing on the history of this because this formula seems unnecessarily complicated. And I just look at the little things like the outbound freight add-on of $1.40 seems outdated to me as a layman. But
Yeah.
so at some
Yeah.
point, I'd love a little bit more information.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Chair, I'll respond to Mary Ellen's question or Commissioner Glenn's question and then hand it to you. But I think a lot of this is right for a review. As you all know, our staff are slammed right now with the DSSC. So the retail services folks and the financial services are really focused on pulling off the supply chain upgrade for DSSC and the move. I would love to look into this and peel it apart, but I would need time because our staff have their hands full right now, and I just can't pull them away from these critical projects. But I would be more than happy to do this, but I think it would have to be later, maybe at the end of 2026. That type of area, and Tara and I we can attest, we just don't have people who can drill into this right now and get into that history, but we definitely could in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner. Clement.
I got
Oh,
one more
oh, yes.
question. Do you have a question? Commissioner? No? Okay. Just a quick question. Director Prinz, are we going to take public comment and testimony on this for the surcharge?
Yes.
Okay.
It's that Commissioner Floyd, right? Hi.
Hello.
I can't see you. I can't see you. We're already taking written comment. Laura's opened up the written comment period, and we've got a time set to take the verbal comment next. Laura or Chair, I think it's next meeting.
Good, because we do have a lot of new commissioners up here, and it would be good for them to listen to the public testimony and the comments that we hear every 2 years when we're voting on this. And there's a lot of folks out there that are, from a public trust standpoint, that are up in arms about a temporary surcharge that, started 15, 16, plus years ago. And it would be very good. It would be very, very good for you guys to hear the frustration. This was a temporary surcharge. So if we need to get an outside team,
Yep.
forensics, whatever.
Yep.
if we need to adjust some things with the legislature to, you know, just. But this will be good for you guys to hear.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cherry, do you have a question?
I did not. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, even without this surcharge, there's a need for us to delve into pricing and costs that have been going on for years without us even reviewing them. So this is a difficult situation, but it's also a great opportunity, as always. So Commissioner Kern, I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your questions on this, and we will, our plan is to hire an outside team to come in and really go through this. We don't have the expertise in-house to do that, so. Okay. All right, Craig, thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Find out where we are here and enjoy your
No, fine.
vacation down there.
Thank you.
Is Rosie, is she on the remote? Okay. Rosie Shatkin will give us a presentation on the legislative update. Where we are, Rosie?
Good morning. I'm also operating virtually. I am in Salem right now. Had to testify on a bill this morning, so we did some last minute pivoting. For the record, Rosie Shatkin, Government Relations Director and Tribal Affair Liaison as well. Thank you, Laura. Thanks for this. So before I get into, Laura, I don't know if we have a copy of the calendar for the session.
No, but I can make one.
You know what, it's okay. I just wanted to point out that we have a calendar that we go over, and I know Director Prinz and I sort of depend on that calendar. We use it strategically for consideration from the legislator to help us navigate the session. And we also try to use it to ensure that we have early engagement with lawmakers before any major deadline. So that calendar is important to us. It also helps us monitor, and I'll come back to this, around placeholder bills. And it also helps us in sort of timely preparing for testimony. For example, this morning we had a bill that was up, and a fiscal impact that bill might have, and the recommendations that we have for committee members. So to get into the presentation this morning, I'm not sure if you are all familiar. In early February, the Oregonian printed an article about the avalanche of bills that lawmakers filed for the 2025 session. They said this was a record number of legislation, and it prompted concerns about potential legislative bottleneck. Thank you, Laura. So this is the calendar that I was discussing a little bit earlier. If you go to the next page, Laura. There we go. So these are the bills that I'm discussing right now. And this is from our Senate President's office. The Senate Secretary of the Senate provided a lot of the information for the article, and I chatted with him a little bit this week about the final bills, and we won't know the final count until next week on March 25th. That's Tuesday, March 25th. We'll get a final count of all the bills that were pre-session files, that were filed post-session when session started. So we'll get a total number. But for the record, there's about roughly 2,500 measures that were pre-session filed. And the article acknowledged that there are concerns from legislators about the capacity to effectively review, deliberate, and act on each of the proposed bill this session. And so we have the time frame. It's 160 days for session, so it ends June 24th, I believe. And whether it creates challenges in those prioritizing the issues that really is affecting the state. And so some folks are asking, why do we have this sudden surge? Is it something new? Is it legislative maneuvering? Or maybe it's just a sign that we're having a healthy democracy this year? Although the article sort of identified a few contributing factors, I think in my experience and just kind of having conversation with legislators, their staff, a few of the government relations folks, and this is where I said I would come back, the role of the placeholder bills, for example, there's a lot of them this year, and they help kind of streamline some of the increasing legislative priorities that have taken place, say, during the session. One example for us is House Bill 3000 back in 2021. That was a placeholder bill. A big issue occurred where we started learning about illicit marijuana grows, issues going on with ODA plants, and whether or not it was marijuana plants. We created, used a placeholder bill to help us advance the issues for that session. So off the pre-session filed bills for the OLCC, there's about 70 bills that I am tracking. Some are directly related to OLCC. In other words, they're aiming to change our IT system, our regulatory system, whether it's compliance, public safety. And then there are those that are not directly related. So I won't get into those. Those are the kind of bills that are related to tax, or it will have an impact on how we treat our workers. So for today, I'll focus on two sets of bills that are related to OLCC, and it impacts us directly. So the first set I'm going to look at is are those bills that are OLCC priority bills. Those are the bills that, thanks to, I see Greg White and some of our staffers, Tyler Glaze, just work that we've been doing for the last year and looking at some of the issues that we can fix internally and to help streamline the process for our licensees. And then there are those bills that are OLCC priority, but we're tracking and analyzing, but we're not providing testimony. We're only doing so if the legislature asks us to provide some testimony or feedback on an issue that someone brought forward. So I've kind of color coordinated these as well. The green bills are our priority bills. And those are the ones that we're tracking closely. Those are the ones that we're providing testimony for. I added the blue if they've already been heard. And so as you can see from this chart and the list of bills for us, all our bills have already been heard before a committee. With one caveat, Senate Bill 869, that's relating to our bottle bill and the time frame manner that is being advanced by the governor, that is potentially being morphed into a larger omnibus package. And so, but they all have been heard this week or last week, I believe. Laura, next slide. We can just inch down to the industry and cannabis. These bills were heard largely this week for cannabis bills, and these are all the ones in yellow. And I identify those in yellow because we're pretty much neutral, like a stop sign or, slowing down sign. These are the bills that will have an impact on us. We're looking at them. We are speaking to legislators on these bills, and we're working with stakeholders on these bills. On Monday, it was a federal holiday, but the legislature was open. So we heard Senate Bill 162. I identified that one as a cannabis bill as a priority for us because we have two concepts in that bill that we've gotten the green light from the governor's office that we can advance those in a separate bill. But the rest of those bills were heard this week. The cannabis bill, it was a cannabis week. And for the most part, a lot of those bills are going to put into a work group and have a larger discussion. Laura, the next slide. So our industry bill, we've heard 21, 20, 21, and 23. A couple of weeks ago, these bills are from our liquor store agents. They're still in committee. We had a hearing. The liquor store agents testified on those bills, but for the most part, they're still there, and there hasn't been a decision made on whether those bills are going to be moving out of committee. But in essence, this is where we are for the week. I can provide some specific responses to any questions relating to any one of these bills, but for the most part, these are the bills that I'm tracking for this week. We're being asked questions about them and providing testimony. But for the most part, that is my presentation this morning with regards to a session. It's moving along and it's pretty fast paced. But it's there's an energy at the Capitol, and we're waiting until sort of the deadlines when bills are moving over to the next chamber, when things will slow down a bit. But thank you for this opportunity to present this. There are a number of bills that are critically important to us. There are a number of public health bills that are out there as well. But as I mentioned, we're tracking those bills that are kind of scheduled for hearing and those bills that are directly impacting us. So thanks again. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Rosie, thank you.
Chair,
Commissioners.
No
yeah.
worries.
like I called out Mr. Rowe last, I want to just formally thank you, Rosie, for all of the help and guidance that you've provided. I like the color coding thing that you're doing. Makes it easy. There's a lot to know about these bills and how things work. And I want to thank you for a couple or so years ago, you taking the time to break it down to me, the policy, bill, voluntary laws and all that. And I encourage the commissioners to reach out to, especially the new ones, to reach out to Rosie, because as our liaison, she actually seems to, from my observations, have carried a lot of respect from the legislators. And you've always championed the governor, and the one and only time that I was, sadly, one and only time that I was at the White House, the Capitol, excuse me, you just seem to be able to maneuver those streets pretty well. So thank you.
I would
I really
say,
appreciate it. Thank you so much for the nice comments. I appreciate it.
we value you, Rosie. You do operate well and earn. You're highly respected in those corridors. So thank you for that, for your representation there.
Thank you.
Commissioner? Yeah.
Once again, thank you very much for this briefing. It's really helpful. I wonder if we could get a copy of your beautiful color-coded chart, just so that we could look into it more if we want to educate ourselves on some of these bills.
Completely. I'll definitely share that with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move into distilled spirits, and we have our new distilled spirits program director, Lisa Bertram, is joining us. She's new here. Well, she's been here a few months, but she's operating from Iowa, and we appreciate. I want to say we were able to hire her. Pull her away from her current position. And I think a lot of that has to do, I think, as I talked about the dumpster fire before, it's hard to get good people. And we've come to a position now because of all the hard work that everybody's done here, including Christy Scott and the team that we have with Craig and Tara, that we can attract this incredible talent. And before you get on here, Lisa, I just want to say a few things, because I had the chance to meet her in Florida and am quite impressed. And thankful that she's here. She joined OLCC on January 20th. She recently served as the Bureau Chief of Alcohol Operations for the state of Iowa. And she has recently, it's quite impressive background. She started stacking shelves in a warehouse someplace, liquor shelves. And then she's been a picker in their alcoholic beverage division. She's been a delivery driver. She worked in licensing operations. She's managed IT and finance team, and even served as the alcoholic beverages division chief, financial officer, and chief operating officer at the same time. So I'm quite impressed. Lisa, I'm glad you're here. I hope you're here. Are you online?
Yes, I am, Chair Doherty.
Nice to see you again. I didn't want that whole thing to go. You were not. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for that introduction. The way it sounds is I can't settle on one thing, but I do really love alcohol operations. And so that's really where I came from in the great state of Iowa. To that point, or to that end, my family and I are moving to Oregon in the coming months here. So in the future, I'll be in person. For now, just working through the transition. So I greatly appreciate the opportunity to serve the OLCC and be part of this amazing agency. It's been an incredible month. I've been learning a lot, and so with that, I'm just going to jump right into it. If there's questions, I'll do what I can to answer. Anything I don't know, I will certainly find out. As you know, there's a lot going on at the OLCC, lots of projects in flight. So I'm just one piece of the giant puzzle for the machine that we're working on here. So with that, I'm going to jump into the Chance to Purchase program update. This program, the Chance to Purchase program was put in place really in 2018 as a way to get highly allocated or limited supply bottles out to the citizens or people of Oregon. Then in 2023, there was an update to this program where we actually brought policy and procedure to the program itself. And really, that's kind of what I want to talk about today is where we are today and where we're going in the future. So, in 2023, Director Prinz put out a procedure policy document that outlined what to do with this program. And that really brought structure to the program, compliance, brought ways for us to really tailor it better. Again, it's a way to get some of these bottles to Oregonians. The mass chunk of these bottles are going to go to retail stores. And so this program takes a small chunk of those out and says, okay, we're going to get these directly into the hands of Oregonians. The other bottles are going to go to the liquor stores to be sold at retail. But this really is a great program to benefit others. The program is robust. It's a little bit complex, and so it really includes a bunch of different areas of the business intentionally. So, the more people that we have in here, the more visibility we can bring to the program. Really, it touches every little area. So distribution is the big one. So as far as getting the product in, determining how much of that product is going to go into the Chance to Purchase program. Financial services involved as far as the pricing. We have retail services as far as talking to the agents, communication out to the public. We do this every quarter, so every couple months or so we have a pile of this highly allocated stuff to get to the Chance to Purchase program, and so there's a lot of different people that are involved in this. Beyond just the OLCC, we are also asked for someone from outside the OLCC. So the way this works is that there's a Chance to Purchase entry set up. The public can get into that entry and see what items are available. They can then choose up to 5 of those items. So we may pick 10 items to be in the Chance to Purchase program. An eligible entry can pick up to 5 of those that they want a chance to purchase. And then those go into this pool. There's then a randomizer that's used to select the winners. And that process, we use an outside source, essentially just an outside observer that's not associated with OLCC. This person will come in, review what's going on. They have, things that they look at when doing that. We also have Nicole Paxton, our auditor, who's involved in this as well. So we have, again, more people involved in the process of getting it set up, and then also of choosing the winners. Here are some stats on the program for 2024. There were 69 items available for the 4 events. Of those, 1,123 bottles were available. So a bunch of different products in that Chance to Purchase. There were over 82,000 eligible entries submitted. So we say eligible entries. There is in the policy, there is an eligibility requirement. So no one from LCC can get in Chance to Purchase. Liquor agents, licensees are not allowed to enter. You have to be an Oregon resident, some of those things. So this really just shows, of the 4 times we did it last year, how many items were available for each of those, the total number of bottles for each, and then the overall entries. And so you can see the first quarter, we really had the most number of bottles in the program, the most number of entries, and then it's kind of ebbed and flowed since then. As I said earlier, participants can select up to 5 different items from the offerings. And so this is an interesting graph because it shows how many items were selected by participants. So, in the first quarter, there was over 156,000 entries, which means, I, as an individual, if I'm not working for LCC, I can put in my entries, I can pick up to 5. So if every entry person, picked up to 5 products, that's essentially where these numbers are coming from. And again, you can see kind of that ebb and flow of through the quarters, who took advantage of what. The details here are important. So within each of these quarters, the items that were into chance to purchase are really what's going to be driving the favorability of these. So if there's not an item in there I want, or maybe it's a too high a price, something like that. So people are going to be looking for items that they either know or want to know. But there's great variability in the items that we get, as well as the items that go in these. So it's hard to make a one-to-one comparison to say, well, quarter 1 was better than quarter 3 for, whatever reason. There's a lot of variability in the product selection that goes into each of these chance to purchase drawings. One of my big responsibilities is really looking at this program, as well as many others, as Director Prince pointed out, and really looking at, where are we right now? So reviewing the policy, understanding kind of what's behind it, and then looking for process improvement. So, how can we make it better? Are there ways to get more products in this program? Things like that. Also looking at, should we continue using an outside entity? Are there ways that we can bring this in-house but still have that audit function and have that visibility so that we know we're staying in compliance with the procedure itself? And so, again, some things to look at going forward. The policy, like I said, was really put in place in 2023, so fairly new. The practice itself is not new. And so I think there's things that we can do here in the future to bring more compliance to this, or bring again process improvement to this area. I will say, coming from Iowa, we didn't have this ability to get these items into citizens, and so I think it's a great program. I love that it's in place. I love that there's a policy around it that really brings that structure. And so really, it's next steps now. How do we bring this in again to the future? Any questions on chance to purchase program?
Commissioners? Yeah. No questions.
Oh, okay. All right. With that, I am going to move into the warehouse update. This is an area that, as Chairman Doherty said, I've been here almost a month. One more day, and I'll have made it my 1 month anniversary. And it's been very busy. So day 1, I was in a construction meeting. So there are a lot of projects at OLCC right now. This is a great one. It's a huge project. There's a lot of people involved. And then as we go forward, I'll have more updates on this. But as of right now, really what we've done is made a couple design decisions. So we have the warehouse itself. It's going to be in Canby. We have an address for that warehouse. It's 165 South Walnut Street in Canby. That's a big deal. The other thing is, we are working now with all of our contractors, our design teams. One of the big things we came up with was the material handling system. So how we actually distribute the liquor within the warehouse. So what we're doing now is designing that material handling system. It's going to be very similar to what we do today, but with greater efficiency. So better conveyor, better pick lines. We're using vertical space, so stacking pick lines on top of each other instead of using more floor space. And then the other thing with the design of the material handling system is it will be modular in some ways, or flexible for the future. So we can build it today with the ability to add on to it in the future. So should alcohol revenues, we're in a kind of a restriction now. If they go the other way and we continue to expand, we have the ability at a later date to add on without really being constrained as we are today. And so I think that's a really good design. Several other states have either done this or in the process of doing this that are control states. Virginia in particular did this a couple years ago. Same vendor, same conveyor. And the state of Mississippi is actually in the same process we are now with this vendor. So that's very exciting. We're able to build what we need today for the next, 10, 15, 20 years, and then, look at it in the future and continue that same building. We don't have to move or do something else. We can really grow and expand the space that we're building today if needed. The other big thing about this is the storage and racking. So we're using some, again, modular vertical spacing. Our current warehouse has a smaller or a shorter roof. So we're able to go about 3 high on the storage. So that the racking, we can do 3 pallets high. The new warehouse will have more, a higher headspace. So we'll be able to go 5 pallets high. So if you think about racking and storage, that's again, just adding 2 more levels on the storage that we have. We are going to be reusing some of the storage solutions we have in the current warehouse. So we'll be setting up new racking in the new warehouse. And then as we move in, we'll be able to pull some of the old racking from the warehouse we have today as needed. So again, modular, able to be updated as needed. The other big thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks is we got our 90% construction set from our general contractor. Really, that is 90% of the project has been really looked at, documented, designed, budgeted. That other 10% is going to be for as we add subcontractors for electrical, for the material handling system, for fiber, things like that. So we're going to get those people on. We have some general updates as far as the budget. We have some contingencies on budget as well. So as we bring in these subcontractors on, at some point we'll have a full construction set, and that will include all of those details. Beyond that, things are moving quickly. So we are making decisions quickly. We're on budget and we're on track. We're on schedule. Right now, the schedule is set out to June of 2026 to have this our kind of a move-in date for us. The goal there would be to get everything moved in and operational before we hit the busy season. So September, October timeframe, we want to be up and running before that goes. So as of right now, we're on budget and on schedule to do that. Next big thing for the project is the groundbreaking ceremony, which will be on April 16th at 10 a.m. We will have work being done before that. So lots of earth is getting moved. Our general contractor, J.E. Dunn, will be on site at that time. And so that's really just great opportunity for OLCC to kind of show off the site. We'll have more renderings of the building at that time as well. And so I expect next month's meeting, I'll have a PowerPoint presentation for you all with some new renderings, some design of the material handling system and of the warehouse itself to provide. And that's, once we get those set, that'll be the template we use going forward. Any questions on warehouse build?
Commissioners? Questions? Lisa, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the next one. I like to see things in pictures. I can understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys kind of went easy on me on the questions, but yeah, I'll have more to come. So appreciate the time. Thank you, Chair Doherty. Thank you, Commission.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it very much. Can't wait to see you in person again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, if it's okay with you, I'd like to see if we can, what we got coming up here is the stipulated settlement agreement. And if you guys have all read it or are comfortable with it, I'll forego the recess and Andrea can give us a presentation now. Hi.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Glad you're here. Appreciate it.
So good morning, members of the commission, Chair Doherty. For the record, my name is Andrea Lee, and I'm a case presenter with the Administrative Hearings Division. I have one alcohol settlement agreement for your ratification, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions, Commissioner? Well, I guess that's it. Do you want to go through this a little bit and just the case itself, or can we do that here?
Would you like to, would it be okay if I provide the facts for you or?
Yeah, just a brief.
Okay, so like the Commissioner Curran said, this is a pretty straightforward case. One of our minor decoy went into Nash and Nipple and purchased a bottle of wine, and it was sold by the licensee. So one of the reasons why we were very willing to do a settlement was because the store literally opened about a month ago. Not everything was up and running at that point. So since the incident, the licensee has been training the employee just to make sure that doesn't happen again. And that's, like I said, the primary driver on why settlement is offered.
Good, great. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion regarding this settlement agreement.
Chair.
Commissioner,
I move to ratify the alcohol stipulated settlement agreement for National Coal as proposed by staff.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Take the roll, please.
Commissioner Chari,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yeah,
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Glenn,
Yes.
Commissioner John Porter.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Melinas,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yeah.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. The motion passes, and with that, we will adjourn.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.